All right, we're going to go ahead and get started, starting off with a few housekeeping things. So first off, this webinar will be recorded so that you can rest assured if you miss any part of this today, the recording will be shared with all of you after the demo. And if you're a prospective customer, welcome. We'll be getting into introductions shortly, but if you have any questions or want to learn more, you can book a demo by scanning the QR code on the screen or by going to northspyre.com. And if you're a current customer, thanks so much for tuning in. You can reach out to your dedicated real estate transformation consultant with any questions or additional trainings on the new features that we'll cover today. Your real estate transformation consultant is your dedicated rep with a background in commercial real estate, so they'll be your point person for any new features or questions you have from today. With that, we'll go ahead and kick things off. Welcome to our Q2 product reveal event. We've got some exciting things in store for you today, and we're so glad to have you with us. So for those of you joining the webinar who are new to Northspyre, Northspyre is the leading purpose-built technology for real estate development teams that leverage technologies like automation and data analytics to help modern real estate teams get more predictability around outcomes, bend the curve on cost overruns through smarter execution, iterate on new deals faster, manage your entire roster of vendors, build institutional knowledge like benchmarking, and give best-in-class reporting to your financial partners. In essence, an entire command center for the modern real estate development team. Today, we'll be introducing two new solutions that are sure to save you time and money that the team has been hard at work on for the past few months, and we're so excited to be finally showing these to you today. So, to introduce myself, I'm Sandra Lee, one of your hosts for today's webinar, and I'm a product manager here at Northspyre with a background in tech and specializing in human-centered design. I've really enjoyed spending the past couple of years diving deep into helping real estate developers achieve incredible things and incredible returns, all while making it so much easier than the traditional methods. We're very excited to show you what we have in store for you today. I'll now pass it off to William Sankey, our CEO and my co-host for today, to introduce himself.
Thanks, Sandra. Hi, I'm William. I'm co-founder, CEO, and head of product here at Northspyre. Like Sandra, I'm super pumped to show you guys some of the new products that we've been working on. So for those of you who are joining today and I haven't met you yet, I'll give you a little background. I spent a lot of my career on the traditional side of the real estate development industry, running projects. So I started my career in New York City, worked on everything from sports arenas to mixed income, rental buildings, to historic warehouse conversions, and to office and retail and more. And so all of that gave me some unique insights into some of the challenges that you guys face every single day. So while many of the members of our team at Northspyre have real estate development experience, and you'll meet some of them later on this call, our number one job has always really been to listen really carefully to what you guys, our customers, are asking for and needing as you try to transform cities across the country on the front lines. And so I hope by the end of this event, you guys will leave knowing how we plan to make your job a little bit easier once again. So with all of that, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us here today. And maybe let's get started with a short video of what Northspyre is all about. Sandra, could you please roll the clip?
In the complex world of real estate development, managing project delivery is a daunting process. For decades, real estate developers have relied on generic project management tools, cumbersome spreadsheets fraught with errors, and legacy ERP accounting and construction systems built for other teams, not the nuanced needs of real estate development. These inadequate systems leave developers grappling with unpredictable escalating costs and unforeseen change orders. Losing institutional knowledge when project managers leave, time wasted on tedious administrative work, dealing with slow draw requests, funding delays, and tension with financial partners, feeling a lack of control over project outcomes, and making gut-based decisions. Since its founding in 2017, Northspyre has been transforming how real estate development teams work and make decisions, becoming the leading technology for hundreds of developers looking to modernize their business operations. Northspyre is the only platform purpose-built for developers to drive predictable outcomes on every project across their portfolio with ease. Using automation, data analytics, and proactive intelligence, Northspyre collects, analyzes, and organizes project information in a single source of truth, providing teams with access to the real-time project insights they need to make smarter decisions and drive higher returns. From tracking development pipeline at deal pursuit to robust forecasting, budget management, and cash flow projections during construction, Northspyre is your centralized hub for executing projects on time and on budget. Easily generate investor draw packages that build trust with your financial partners, compile flexible reporting, and even manage complex sources and tax credit funding. Understand how vendors are performing on a project, where they are in their contract, and if they've been paid. Predict when vendors will bid low, flag scope gaps, and secure top vendors with AI-assisted bid management. And collaborate with vendors on tasks and documents. Automatically benchmark costs across your portfolio and project capital needs over a multi-year horizon. Understand the drivers of change orders. Proactively manage risk and make faster, data-informed decisions with predictive alerts and insights. Unify Northspyre with your accounting system to keep everything working seamlessly in a single source of truth. And with Data Inbox, Northspyre syncs into your email-based workflow to capture incoming project documents like invoices, automatically extracting their data and alerting you to any risks or impact this data might have on your project. From there, it simply queues them up for your approval, keeping your team focused on the strategic direction of your projects instead of data entry. Northspyre isn't just a platform, it's the future of real estate development. Reduce cost overruns, win over capital partners, and embrace ease in every project. The power to transform your development process and stay ahead of the competition is at your fingertips. Step into a new era of real estate development with Northspyre.
Great. Hey everyone. So if you just turned in, you caught a glimpse of a video showing you what Northspyre is all about. So back in 2017, we started out with the big idea that there should be this purpose-built tool for real estate developers to be smarter and more efficient in what they do every day. So fast forward to today, and that idea has turned into really this epic adventure where we've had a chance to partner with many of the best real estate developers out there, a lot of you. And so from our very first customer, the Museum of Modern Art, the MoMA in New York, who used Northspyre on their $400 million expansion and renovation 5 years ago. Long time. And then moving forward 5 years, we facilitated our 1000th project. And we've raised capital from some of the top investors in Silicon Valley, including investors out of Airbnb, SpaceX, and other great companies out there. So we are really excited to continue many steps into the future, pushing our industry forward together with you. So, today Northspyre stands as this category defining technology and really the fastest growing solution for real estate development teams. So it's a technology that's redefining the way you work with automation, proactive intelligence, and data while you build the skylines of our cities. So we owe it all to you guys, our amazing customers and prospective customers who joined the call. Thank you. You guys are the change makers on the front lines of the industry. So let's set the context for today, right? So Northspyre, we've been around 7 years, and we talk to hundreds of developers across the country every single month. And some of the things that we've observed is that success is getting harder and harder than ever to achieve. Capital availability is low, while everything for cost from labor to materials to the cost of capital are high, right? Regulation and compliance, as well as just the reporting associated with getting products out of the ground and to the finish line, are getting more and more complex. So we've heard that from you guys. We've listened as team after team of development leads are struggling to solve some of these problems. And today we hope we can share a few new solutions with you guys on how to solve those things. Sandra?
So we continue to enhance our platform with innovations that address key customer challenges and market dynamics. And as such, we're excited to introduce 2 new add-on solutions that extend the power of Northspyre to help developers navigate current conditions while also setting themselves up for sustainable growth well into the future. We'll be diving into these features in a moment, and you may have heard whispers or maybe even seen glimpses into these in the past few months. Our new Complex Capital Management and Portfolio Analytics Plus. I know at this point you're itching to find out what those are, so without further ado, we'll kick things off with our new Complex Capital Management. William, take it away.
Great. So a key part of why we're here today is because I guess the world's just really changed drastically on all of us over the past 3 years. So in every sector of real estate development, maybe aside from data centers, it's become harder to make real estate development deals pencil, and financing those deals has become challenging. So this is something we're seeing across the board. In the past, most of our customers had relatively typical capital stacks on their projects, 2 to 3 funding sources on a typical deal, right? Today, we've seen a 65% increase in deals run through Northspyre that have more complex or non-traditional capital stacks. So these developers are now serving multiple capital partners, or they have special funding grants with very specific reporting requirements, and that's made running these deals even more cumbersome.
So at the same time, we've seen more multifamily developers begin to consider LIHTC projects as a way to keep deal flow moving at the bottom of the cycle. However, LIHTC also brought these customers more complex reporting and additional project risks that they needed to stay in compliance with to achieve these tax credits. So, in this brave new world, what does a savvy developer do? Spend 50% of your time on paperwork, reporting, and compliance, or spend that time focused on the strategic direction of your deals. Today, we're making that trade-off an easy one with the introduction of Northspyre Complex Capital Management. I could say more words, but a demo is better, so I'd like to introduce LIHTC, our product manager who's been in the weeds with these features for the past year and is going to show you how it works.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for the intro, Sandra. I'm Eileen, and I've been working closely with many developers and affordable housing groups with complex capital stacks for the past year and a half. So I'm thrilled to finally unveil the features that have been in the works for a while now. Like William and Sandra mentioned, delivering complex projects on time, under budget, and in compliance is a heavily involved and time-consuming effort. We're launching this complex capital add-on so that Northspyre can take on your most laborious tasks, from tracking compliance and regulatory deadlines to allocating funds and generating nuanced reports, so that your project management is as straightforward, quick, and repeatable as possible. By allowing Northspyre to assist with the intricacies and burdens of complex capital projects, you as developers can better empower your teams to meet targets, mitigate risks, and leverage crucial data insights to run projects as effectively as possible.
Sounds awesome. Eileen, can you show me how I can use Northspyre to track my sources and utilization?
Absolutely. So let's jump right in and we'll take a look at a feature demo of all the features that make up your complex capital management package, starting with robust source tracking capabilities. So for those of you with complex capital stacks where tracking sources is important for your deals, which is probably most of you, we now have a full suite of features to automatically and smartly log your project source utilization so that you don't have to worry about the tedious task of manually tracking your complicated source usage. So we're excited to present 2 different ways that Northspyre can automate your source utilization tracking. The first way is by assigning sources to your budget lines, and the second way is by setting up source tranches to define the order of source usage. First things first, we'll start with the first route. You can set up your budget lines so that invoices automatically draw against defined sources, so that you can both ensure that funds are properly allocated and leverage granular budget line level reporting of your source allocations. To set up your automated source transaction feature, simply navigate to your budget categorizations page, which is your utilities page for tracking all of the budget lines on your project and defining categorization schemas and naming conventions. From here, when you add or edit a budget line, you can select which source will be drawn from by default. So once a funding source pairing is defined, all future incoming invoices on this budget line will automatically be assumed to draw from the selected source. So if I go into my data inbox, which is my landing page where I have complete oversight of all incoming costs, contracts, and documents, I can then review items like this invoice here before I accept it into my project and it impacts my project values. As you can see, this invoice has already automatically been associated with my funding source GP equity because its budget line had that defined association prior to it being sent. I have complete flexibility to edit this pairing both before and after I accept my invoice, but once I click accept, Northspyre will automatically log your source transactions so you always have an accurate representation of the source utilization at that point in time. I can always view and drill down into my source transactions in my sources data index page. And with the source utilization history automatically logged, you've now just cut out all of the hours of manual work typically needed to produce source utilization reports. So now I can go into my report builder, which is my playground for creating any combination of our many reports with different customizable options for each. And from here, your source draw detail report is built specifically for you to report on a budget line breakdown of your costs versus source utilization in a given draw period for any of the sources on your project. And voila, robust reporting is available right at your fingertips with minimal work. Now, the second way that Northspyre streamlines your source tracking is based on a defined funding order. So in the case where you either don't need such granular reporting, or if certain sources and budget lines won't have a default pairing, we make logging your source utilization just as easy with our Smart Source Transaction feature. You can define different buckets of source priorities, so Northspyre can do all of the heavy lifting with calculating how to divvy up your draws funded by multiple sources. So to start, I'll navigate to my Sources Overview page, which provides a convenient summary of my sources and utilization compared to the funding request amounts from each of my draws. At the top of my page, I can define a funding tranche order, where I can bucket different sources together and define what order I will use my sources. For example, my first two sources are in the first tranche here, or bucket, meaning they'll be used simultaneously before the second bucket, which will be used before the third. And when there's multiple sources in the same bucket, Northspyre will draw from each source in the tranche using their pro rata share of the tranche total. Now, scrolling to the bottom of my page, I have a clear summary of each draw period's requested funding amount and actual funded amount, so I can immediately identify if my source usage and costs are misaligned. In the case where Northspyre indicates that the draw has not been fully funded, I can easily log source transactions in a few clicks. So when I click here to add a source transaction, Northspyre will smartly suggest the exact amounts to be funded in a draw and divide it across the earliest tranche of sources using both the remaining of the funded amount and the pro rata share of each source in each tranche. Here, I simply just have to verify the numbers, or I can also quickly edit the values and even define percentage breakdowns with no manual calculations before clicking save to create all of those source transactions in one go. And now, in one smooth move, I just completely reconciled a draw's source utilization across multiple sources. Northspyre source tracking extends beyond just your actuals. We also leverage this tranche ordering and your anticipated cost data to project your source usage on your cash flow tool. So I'll navigate now to my cash flow page, which is your proactive tool where you can monitor projected costs by budget line, manipulate budget line data and curve types, and produce detailed month-by-month reporting of future costs throughout the end of your project. So just some background, historically, Northspyre's cash flow tool has been focused on your project's uses, but we're taking it a step further. We know that understanding your sources as compared to your uses is very valuable information to always stay one step ahead of your lenders, so you know when you should expect to transition between sources. So to overlay your sources on the cash flow, simply toggle to show your source projections, where Northspyre will then calculate when each tranche of sources is projected to run out. With the Complex Capital add-on, you can now take advantage of your source projection feature to proactively monitor when you should expect to transition between sources and even identify early on if your costs are projected to exceed your funds. So on my project, it looks like my last tranche here ends before my project does. So I can drill into this tranche to see at a glance exactly how many dollars I might be short on funding. We also include the source information in the detailed table view below, which breaks down your projected costs month by month for every budget line. This cash flow is incredibly powerful because anytime your project values change or you manually adjust certain projected costs, the cash flow curve will automatically recalibrate so that your values are always accurate.
That looks awesome, Eileen. Those new source capabilities are going to be a game changer for projects with complex capital stacks. How about different reporting requirements? How do I handle those with various lenders? Isn't that going to be a challenge?
Great question, Sandra, and I'm glad you brought that up. So for those of you who have experience working with complex sources, you're probably more than familiar with the complex reporting requirements that different lenders and entities will have for your draw. Well, I'm so excited to unveil our configurable draw templates, where you can define as many different versions of your budget line structure as you need to be used in your resulting draw. You can easily rename, reorder, roll up, and even omit budget lines from each template so that you can create perfectly tailored draw reports for each lender and partner with nuanced requirements. So to set up a template, I'll navigate back to my budget categorizations page, where on this page, you'll notice that I can add a tab to create a new template. So I'll assign it a name. Let's say this template is specifically for my lender, US Bank. And from here, my starting point is a replica of my original budget line schema. Now, let's say US Bank has very specific reporting requirements when it comes to how budget lines are named and ordered, as well as which budget categories are even included in the report. And their requirements are completely different from both my internal organization's conventions and from all the other financial partners I work with. I no longer have to allocate hours every single draw period to put together a personalized draw for US Bank, now that I can just define a set template. For example, US Bank might want these first two acquisition lines to actually be rolled up into one line called acquisition fees. I can assign each of these that new name by just simply clicking into my page to edit the name. And the moment I save the same name, you'll see that both of those lines have rolled up into one. So now I have a single line, acquisition fees, that previously was two different lines, acquisition-related legal and bank and mortgage broker fees. Next, US Bank also wants this third line to be named just miscellaneous instead of miscellaneous closing costs, which again, I can edit directly here and save my changes. Now, let's say US Bank doesn't care about my soft costs at all. So I can completely omit entire categories, subcategories, and budget lines. And I'm just going to remove soft costs altogether from this template. And finally, I know that US Bank wants hard costs to go before acquisition costs in their reporting, so I can simply drag and drop these two categories to their correct places. From here, I'll save my changes for now, but I can always make adjustments and add new templates at any time. This template is now ready to be used in my draw report. So if I go back to my report builder and generate a draw report, I can now select which template I want to use. My resulting draw request still has all of the key information needed, but it's now using the budget line structure that meets all of US Bank's requirements. Omitted budget lines like soft costs are not included at all in the grand totals, and rolled up budget lines like acquisition fees will be the cumulative sum of its constituents. So draw values are always completely accurate.
Exciting stuff, Eileen. So we can automate source assignments, then report in a unique fashion for different capital sources. But I've been hearing that in this current economic climate, there are more challenges, especially for LIHTC builders. My understanding is that they're finding it time-consuming and difficult to manage compliance with tax-exempt bond-eligible lines and the crucial 50% test. Is there anything we can do to help them?
Absolutely, Sandra. So now that we've covered source tracking and flexible reporting, there's still one more crucial element of the complex capital management add-on, which is the robust compliance and risk management capabilities. This tool is incredibly useful for those of you with complex capital stacks involving government funding and the different compliance rules that come with it. We understand that many of you are affordable housing developers, or at least are interested in exploring the affordable housing space. Our full suite of tools is designed to help you track, report, and project your compliance levels with the Low Income Housing Tax Credit, or LIHTC program. Notably, this program has a 50% test that requires at least 50% of all eligible costs to be funded by tax-exempt bonds, which are your government-funded grants, in order for the project to qualify for tax exemption. Not only is this test tedious to track, but also if you fail the test, it can undermine your project's success, damage your organization's reputation, and hurt your chances for receiving future funding. It's definitely a daunting task, but the good news is that Northspyre has a solution. So to start, we have a seamless tool to help you track and report on your minority and women-owned business enterprises. This tool ensures that you can easily track against internal and external initiatives and thresholds. So I'll jump into my vendor management page, which is my utilities page where I can manage all of my project's vendor details, such as vendor types. Whenever I add or edit a vendor, I can now scroll down to my vendor type dropdown and tag my vendor as any of the types here, such as small businesses, women-owned businesses, disabled veteran, minority, and disadvantaged business enterprises. And once that's set, I have clear visual indicators so I know what types of vendor I have on my project, and I can use this information when I'm looking at my vendor insights. I've also now unlocked powerful reporting capabilities with my report builder. So for example, my MWBE utilization report is a draw-based report where I can have a detailed breakdown of each vendor type's invoiced and committed amounts, both historically and in my selected report on each of the vendor types, even down to the budget line level. We give easy visual indicators to portray your percentage utilization of different vendor types. So for example, let's say your project received a municipal grant from the city focused on an initiative to work with more disabled veteran businesses. Rather than tediously tracking specific groups of vendors, I've now generated insights in just a few clicks to see that, for example, I have committed 85% of my project to disabled veteran business enterprises. Next, a key part of affordable housing projects is tracking and reporting on your basis eligible costs and tax-exempt bonds. With Northspire's add-on, we streamline this process to save you valuable time and reduce the potential for error. The setup step is incredibly simple and consists of two parts. So first, back in my budget categorization page, anytime I add or edit a budget line, I can also indicate if that budget line is basis eligible. Similarly, in the pages where I manage my sources, such as my sources data index, anytime I add or edit a source, I can indicate if that source is a tax-exempt bond. And now, in just 2 simple steps, I've unlocked my powerful reporting capabilities in the Report Builder's Source Draw Detail Report. In the click of a button, you can generate a LIHTC compliance report to see how your LIHTC costs versus uses performed in a specific draw. We give you a detailed budget line breakdown of the costs as they compare to your tax-exempt bond usage. And Northspyre proactively alerts you with red color coding so you know if you haven't met the 50% test. So now I can see at a glance if my source usage has met compliance levels in the past, which it did, if it met compliance levels in this period, which it didn't, and finally, if the current cumulative source usage meets the compliance threshold of 50%. So I've just showed you how to track compliance for your project in the present. But how can I know that I'll be compliant in the future when my project ends and passing the 50% test is the most crucial? Well, I'm thrilled to finally introduce our most exciting tool yet. We have expanded your cash flow capabilities so that you can project your basis eligible costs against your tax-exempt bonds. With this proactive insight, you can monitor your progress and ensure that you are tracking against your projected spending and funding to meet compliance thresholds so you never end your project with any surprises or unknown risks. On your cash flow page, you now have a third tab to view your LIHTC compliance forecast. On this tab, we only show you basis eligible costs, and we provide stats at a glance to show you what your percent of basis costs funded by tax-exempt sources is projected to be by the end of your project. On this page and across your platform, Northspyre uses the same color coding of green to indicate if you're in good standing, or red to indicate if you're not. So I can rest assured that my project is projected to end successfully when I see a projected value of 86%. And just like in your normal cash flow view, you can also show your source projections, where Northspyre will calculate and project your tax-exempt usage as they compare to your basis eligible costs. You can drill into when you're projected to completely utilize your sources to see valuable compliance information, and you can get an even more detailed month-by-month breakdown of your basis eligible costs versus uses in the table below, where we also show you the month-by-month actual and projected percent basis finance compliance values, so you can see in exactly which month you're projected to either meet or not meet that 50% test. All of this data can then be exported directly to Excel for easy reporting. As you can see, Northspyre has completely transformed a tedious manual, and error-prone process into an easy, seamless tool to ensure that you can run your projects more efficiently than ever. Our dedicated team is always available to answer questions or do training, so please reach out if you want to get started today. And with that, I'll hand it back to William.
No, that was awesome, Eileen. So thanks, Sandra and Eileen. But let's switch gears. So today, we stand at a crossroads in an industry that's just more and more competitive and unforgiving than ever. As margins are shrinking, the numbers, making all the numbers work is like solving this complex puzzle. And then just staying within budget feels like you're walking a tightrope. Even securing capital partners is like winning over this panel of, American Idol judges, right? It's very difficult. And so at this stage of the cycle that we're in, we're really drawing this line in the sand that's really dividing developers into two distinct groups. Those that are really like struggling to adapt to this environment, and then those that are also sort of pioneering, embracing new practices, propel like similar knowledge-based industries like advanced manufacturing and finance to new heights over the last decade. So a lot of you guys, these trailblazers, are constructing more than just buildings. You're building enduring institutional knowledge that allows your firm to operate in a more data-driven fashion. So that's where we enter today, the Portfolio Analytics Plus, the latest innovation from Northspyre. It's not just a tool, it's really the culmination of a vision that we've really nurtured since our inception, a vision to empower you to harness the power of data, streamline your operations, and emerge with higher returns in this high-stakes environment. So welcome to the Northspyre Portfolio Analytics Plus. And I'm going to hand it off for a demo by Sandra.
Thank you for the intro, William. Our Portfolio Analytics Plus includes a whole suite of tools that are going to empower you and your team to make more informed decisions than ever before. The Northspyre Portfolio Analytics Suite is how modern real estate teams build institutional knowledge and leverage critical historical costs and vendor information across their projects. Think of it like your team's central brain for all historical costs and vendor information. If I navigate over to the Analytics section at the top of my navigation bar, you'll see all the tools I have available at my fingertips to understand key metrics about my portfolio or portfolio groupings. Global management consulting firm McKinsey has released reports every few years reviewing productivity growth across various industries. And what they've discovered is that every single time real estate development and construction has seen almost no productivity growth over the last 50 years. This has resulted in another outcome, McKinsey observed, which is that 3/4 of projects end up over budget. And this is partly because real estate development projects are often longer than the tenure of staffing on those projects, meaning knowledge is lost with every transition and data is stored in disparate spreadsheets that are difficult to reconcile and tally after the fact to get useful learnings. At Northspyre, we've come to believe this is the case because real estate firms find it challenging to retain institutional knowledge, such as key benchmarking needed in deal planning and vendor negotiations, understanding what went wrong on previous projects, and gauging whether your past assumptions have been sound and recalibrating as needed. So the first tool I want to share with you is Northspyre Cost Analytics. This is where you can understand what you typically spend on granular development and construction costs for various scopes of work. If you manage your projects through Northspyre, what Northspyre is doing in the background is automatically attempting to help you map and categorize your data such that you can compare data across projects and build up internal benchmarks. So at the top right, you'll notice a drop-down list. This is a list of hundreds of budget lines that we've observed across thousands of projects in Northspyre. So let's say we wanted to understand the history of architecture costs across our portfolio. We can see that my average cost per unit is typically around $3 to $4 per square foot. You also have benchmarks, like what percentage architecture costs typically make up on your development costs, not including acquisition costs, and in this case, it's 2.14%. Those are both helpful benchmarks for planning future projects or understanding how your current project is performing. And if you have a subset of projects in a particular asset type or location that you want to dive in for more targeted metrics, you also have the option of creating a portfolio grouping that you can filter across all pages in your portfolio. Add similar projects that you want to group together into a portfolio group to understand deeper insights. One of the stats I think is the most useful is measuring how we've done in the past. Do we always nail our estimates, or are we overestimating? In this case, we've added a new metric called your budget overrun, which represents cost overages on this budget line across your portfolio. Well, not only do we tell you what that amount is, but more importantly, we tell you why. So by navigating over to my Change Overview tab, I can see the frequency of causes behind my change orders for this specific scope of work. You can see here that this one is caused by a lot of errors and omissions. So we can save money on this budget line by ensuring better coordination and communication in the beginning of my future projects. Below, I also have a table of my full list of projects and spending, specifically on architecture, which is what we're currently viewing. And you can understand the details behind the projects driving these high-level stats and understand if there are any nuances or wrinkles that make some projects more relevant for comparison than others. For example, you can see on our office tower project, architecture costs make up about 4.5% of our total development costs, whereas project architecture on other projects was less of a driver of expenses. Now, instead of repeating the same mistakes or misestimates time and time again on your projects, your development firm is getting smarter and more data empowered. You can now get to the root cause of those past missteps. This is going to result in positive impacts to your return and your bottom line. So to recap, your cost analytics are to help you understand your typical cost per budget line across your current and past projects so that you can build institutional knowledge for more informed decision-making in the future. Well, what if you want to know how much you typically spend, but by vendor? We have a solution for that too. Let's navigate over to our vendor analytics page, which is our hub for portfolio-level vendor data, so that you can see how much your vendors are costing you and which ones you might want to work with or not work with again. We've highlighted all your key stats at the top so that you can quickly glance into how your vendor's performing and see how often they bid low and overrun their contracts. We've also added a vendor overrun field to help you better understand the amount of change orders and exposures each vendor has had. You can also switch over to the cost overview to see the amount of each contract type a vendor has, and even see the causes of those change orders once again. One last neat piece of information here is our new vendor score. So to view this, we're going to click on this performance tab right on top of the graph here. And this large score that you see that reads 2.4 out of 5 is the overall vendor score. So this is calculated through a few variables like their competency score, cost mitigation score, and their budget score. A vendor that has a lot of change orders due to things like errors and omissions will have a much lower score than one with fewer scope gaps. Haven't worked with a vendor on enough projects to draw a conclusion? Not a problem. If we switch over from your projects to Northspyre in this top right corner, we're going to see the aggregate value of vendor data across all projects in Northspyre to equip you with the data necessary to make informed decisions and ensure reliability when selecting vendors in the future. Another piece of Portfolio Analytics Plus is the Global Cost Forecast tool. This provides executives with a unified view of anticipated costs across the portfolio level. Here, we've added a new unit selection feature so that you have different options and can understand the data in a way that you see fit and have the most flexibility within your team. We've also added smart table options, like being able to highlight cells with available funds or overruns that you'll see here in red. We've also added a benchmark column so that you can see what percentage each budget line is of your total development costs. This allows for more accuracy when drilling down into specific budget lines for comparison, as you can leave out those big variable costs such as cost acquisitions and more. And if you've ever been curious about how two projects compare, maybe you're looking into how costs and performance have changed between two projects several years apart, you can now do exactly that. So we'll open up the compare option, select compare projects, and then we'll select the projects that we want to view and compare. You can also select what columns you want to compare for a more flexible view, and I'm going to go with total anticipated cost and my cost per unit to get more insight into my average project costs. So let's say I want to see how my hard costs have changed between the time these projects were built. If I dive into this hard cost section, I can see that my construction manager line went up by about $3 million and my cost per unit went up by about 45. These benchmarks are here for you to ensure your project stays on track and on budget and leverages all projects in your portfolio to do so. We have a couple more pieces to show you of our Portfolio Analytics Plus, which are going to drastically improve visibility throughout your teams and your ongoing projects. But I'll now introduce Haley Yeager, another member of our product team who has quite a bit of commercial real estate experience herself and will be showing you these last exciting bits.
Thanks, Sandra. I'm super excited to showcase 2 new forecasting tools that will no doubt optimize the way you run your business. First, let's take a look at portfolio capital planning, a solution meant to help project executives improve forecasting accuracy by providing a comprehensive view of source utilization and cash flow projections across your portfolio over a multi-year horizon. Let's start with uses. Adjust the aggregate data by filtering down from all projects to a specific portfolio grouping, which, by the way, your organization's admin will now be able to share groupings organization-wide. In this case, I'm going to use my projects in the Northeast. Refine the viewing duration for what's most meaningful to your analysis. Hover over any month to see the project totals summing to the aggregate reflected here. See totals broken down by project in the overview table below. And even drill down into project budget line detail without ever navigating away from the page. Next, let's focus on sources. Let's say you want to understand your equity needs. You can start by filtering by source type here at the top right. In the short term, leverage this data at your fingertips to inform capital calls and offer partners proactive notice for capital needs in future months, thereby instilling confidence and strengthening relationships. In the long term, leverage the tool to inform fundraising over the next 3 to 5 years. Given scarcity of equity and other capital in today's market, we know that portfolio strategy planning is an absolute necessity to stay competitive. Next, let's take a look at developer fee, a tool that aggregates developer fee cash flow across projects, giving you a holistic view of projected income realization. At every development firm, there are 2 ways to make money: investment returns and management fees. As you probably know, realizing fees can be critical to business operations when returns are tied up during the investment period. Understanding income just got a whole lot simpler using the real-time data here. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, Sandra.
Thanks, Haley. Those look awesome. The Portfolio Analytics Plus sounds pretty crucial for anyone needing those in-depth analytics across their portfolio to make smarter, data-driven decisions. But in all honesty, who doesn't? The Complex Capital Stack and Portfolio Analytics Plus are 2 new solutions we wanted to show you today, so we really appreciate your time and dedication to hear about these new features that are going to drastically improve your visibility, flexibility, and efficiency for your projects. Again, you can book a demo through the QR code on the screen or by going to northspyre.com if you're interested in what you saw today. William, some final words for us?
Haley, thanks for the great demo of Portfolio Analytics Plus. So I do want to save a few minutes. Looks like we have some time to do some Q&A. So I want to make sure we have time for that and be able to talk through that. But I also want to just take time to thank you guys for joining this call with us and being part of, the people leading the industry into the future. If for those of you who have questions, we're going to be here to answer as many as we can in the next few minutes. I think one that I was thinking about just now was regarding the Portfolio Analytics Plus that Sandra and Haley talked about. If you are interested, we can and are able to upload historical projects from your portfolio. So that's something your dedicated real estate transformation consultant will be able to help you with. But with that said, I'm going to pause here and take any open questions. There is a question button down at the bottom of the Zoom panel. So if you guys submit, I see like there are questions that have come in there. Haley is trying to review those, and I know we probably can't get all of them. Maybe we can get all of them, Haley, but Haley will flag them and we'll try to answer as many as we can with the time we have left. And those of you who have to drop, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Haley?
Yeah, it looks like we have one question here that is, will you add pending budget changes to the ACR? I can take that if no one else wants to, but So this is a current column on the ACR today. We also have incorporated it into the global cost forecast, and it's an available column on your cost analytics as well. All right, one other question we have is, do you help teams get started with LIHTC?
I'm happy to jump in and try to answer that one, Haley. So I think we've seen a lot more interest in developers that are working on LIHTC projects or low-income housing tax credit projects, more interested in doing that in this environment. And then we have some long-time like LIHTC expert customers out there who that is their bread and butter, and they are the seasoned veterans in that space. And I guess, our team, we built out a lot of this functionality to help teams deliver these projects more effectively, more efficiently. We're certainly happy to help you leverage the technology to be able to do that and to guide the way as much as we can. Our real estate transformation consultants, some of them come with background having worked in affordable housing before, not all of them, but we try to match you up with the right person. If you have questions on how to get started, and we're happy to help as much as we can. Are there any other questions out there?
Looks like there aren't many more. Oh, there's a few more coming in. Oh, it looks like these are comments, so we might be good.
All right, Haley, let us know if you see anything else down there, and if not, I can wrap it up. We good, Haley?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time. If any other questions come in, or if something comes to mind, definitely send us an email. We're happy to hear emails. You can send it to the concierge inbox, or you can send it to your real estate transformation consultant. You can also email me at william@northspyre.com. Always happy. I will make sure things get to the right place. And I also wear the head of product hat, so happy to feel anything that's coming in, whether it's suggestions, comments, or questions. We'll try to get back to you. But again, thank you guys so much for being our customers, our prospective customers. And as we all move through this journey in this challenging environment, we're really excited to see the industry continue to get more effective at what we do and come out on top with higher returns. So thank you guys for being our customers and supporting us, and hopefully we can keep supporting you as best as we can. Have a great rest of your day and take care. Bye-bye.